Welcome to Sharing Hope. My name is Jamie George. I'm your host, and I'm here with our guest, Ryan Stevenson. Ryan is a singer-songwriter. He's a guitarist. He's just a rock star is what he is. But he wrote a song called "Speak Life." Maybe you heard of it. TobyMac, another musician, recorded it, and this thing took off. Wound up being nominated for a Grammy Award. Ryan's with Gotee Records. He had a song not too long ago, 15 weeks, #1, Eye of the Storm. He's often hanging out there on Billboard charts with all his music. He has inspired all of us, and this is a guy who he loves to live life in a real and raw way. It's one of the things I love about Ryan. You know where you're at with Ryan. And Ryan, what a privilege to be with you, brother. It's good seeing you again.
You too, man. So awesome. Thank you for having me. Gosh, it's good to see your face.
Man, it's been a long time. So are you surviving, thriving? What's it been like for you, this quarantine thing?
Well, if you see me doing this a lot, if you see me rubbing my forehead like this, it's not only just a habit. It's just me trying to just cope in the moment.
Yes.
I'm living in the tension here.
Yeah.
No, it's actually, to be honest, my wife and I talk about it all the time because I've been touring full time for 8 to 10 years, somewhere in there. Like I've been on the road.
Yeah.
That's how we live, is I've been a touring musician for all these years. And, February, March, April, May, June is our real busy season of the year. And it's been that way for 8 to 9 years. I've never been home in the last almost decade in April or May.
Wow.
So, it kind of like sporadically here and there if I have a weekend off or we're routing somewhere. But overall, it's been crazy because I'm home and there's nothing to do and there's nowhere really to go and there's no shows to play. And so it's to answer your question, I've kind of been in this mode for all these years, but now I was freaked out at first, but probably unlike a lot of people, but it's almost like the Lord has just used this sweet time to almost force me to just shut down and just to regroup and
like a pure Sabbath, like really.
Like no choice, you are going to rest. You're going to reconnect with your wife. You're going to reconnect with your kids. You're going to reconnect with me, and I feel like sometimes the trap we fall into as, in ministry or in music or just touring, it's like, it's easy to go out and be feeding all the time and inspiring and uplifting and everything. And then sometimes the toll really gets taken on me. Yeah. I feel like sometimes I just have nothing to give at all. And I feel like I'm faking it sometimes. I feel like I'm just like trying to help all these people and encourage people. And I'm just empty. And so this time of quarantining, if you will, has honestly been awesome. It's been just sitting here with my lovely bride and my 2 boys, like summertime just hit, so they're not in school and I'm like not playing shows. So we're just doing yard work. We're going on hikes. We're swimming, it's been good, man. It's been needed. I didn't know how much I needed it until I'm in it. You know how you don't see the dysfunction?
Totally. Yes, totally. Wait, no, so I'm interested in the beginning. In the beginning, was your wife like, okay, this is a little too much. You're going to have to walk out of the house or something? Or was she like, oh, thank you. Finally, I get more of you. Which one was it?
The first one.
because I talk with artists all the time, right? Like there's a rhythm you have.
Oh yeah.
And we, one of the things about, when you are doing the touring thing, the re-entry thing is always a little challenging. There's people in the military, same way. Re-entry is a thing.
It really is.
Often, are the ladies like, yeah, I had a rhythm here that's a little disrupted.
It's crazy how that happens, how I never understood it until I was in it, but you really do. When you tour so much and you're traveling, people who are deployed, you kind of become islands unto yourselves. Mm-hmm. And my wife is here in a rhythm with school and the boys, and I'm marching to the beat of my own drum on the road, and I'm leading my guys out there. And when I come home and I step back into home, can be a rub there. Yeah. And now that I've been quarantined, and I'm like, well, I'm back home. I'm the man of the house. I'm the boss. She's like, no. Mama's like, yeah, you probably should figure something out to do.
That's fantastic. I love it. So have you stumbled upon a new hobby or something you just kind of said, I want to get around to that. It's one of those things I should read more comic books. I mean, I don't know. Is there a thing that you're doing now that you weren't doing previously?
I have been, I've been doing more reading. That's for one. Not that I haven't done it before, but I've been doing more reading. I have been doing a lot more fishing with my kids. I grew up in the country, man. Like, I grew up hunting and fishing and camping since we moved out here to Tennessee. I haven't gotten to do a bunch of that, so I've been taking my boys. I have 2 little boys. I've been taking them fishing more. But as far as like finding a thing, my release is really just being outside and mowing grass and pulling weeds, and just, I love manual labor so
being
much.
In the dirt. Yeah.
I love it. I have a shovel sitting right out there by my fence. I go outside and I'll just stand with a shovel and kind of look around and like look for maybe a weed.
There's a project. I love it. And look, spring in Tennessee is gorgeous, man. You're missing out on the best time of the year in Tennessee.
You know what? It's literally like, my wife was just telling me that. I was like, I'm never here. She's like, this is how it always is. You're just never here to see it.
Right. Yeah. Like, July is not real fun here, but April and May.
April and May is gorgeous. It's nice temperatures, and I'm always coming back in, in the sweltering heat of July and August, exhausted from playing festivals. And I'm like, I just need a break.
Yeah. Gosh. Well, so here's one of the questions I've been asking, and you know, lots of folks who maybe follow you know a little of your story, but you have such a powerful story, such a beautiful, inspiring story. But take us back to a time in your story where you dealt with so much uncertainty, because that's what, the people I'm talking to, we're all still dealing with it, that we're in Nashville, the band's starting to lift, whatever, but there's still so much uncertainty. What's going to happen this fall? We have people that we know dealing with health, economic, certainly. But could you take us back to a time in your story where you faced this kind of uncertainty, where it was almost overwhelming, perhaps? And how did you get through it? Yeah. And how are you different because of it?
Wow, what a great question. It's funny how, when you ask the Lord, God, whatever it takes to just show me your heart and show me your goodness. And, for years, my prayer was, God, I just want to know that I'm your son. I want to know that I can trust you no matter what that looks like. Because I was born and raised in the church. But somewhere along the way, I by well-meaning people, I kind of started to buy into this thing that, God is kind of a taskmaster and he wants to use me. I'm more like a tool. I'm his son. I'm his child. He's good. He's a dad. He's Heavenly Father, but I never really got to know him as daddy. And it just kind of sent me into my adult life really on this weird performance-based approach to God where, I kind of related to him as I'm only as good as my last ability to do really well. And I remember a point in my life where I was just going through this just cycles of dysfunction and just sin cycles. And, I'm free for a little while and then I crash again and I feel shame and guilt and all the things. And then I get free for a little while. And it's just like, God, fix me. And my dreams, like, I worked as a paramedic for years and years and years, probably 8 to 9 years I was a paramedic. And kind of during that time, I played music in college. I thought that was going to be it. Like, oh man, me and my college buddies are going to do this band. Well, that didn't happen in college. And so I went and got my paramedic license and I worked as a paramedic for years. And long story short, I got signed to a record deal about year 7 of my paramedic career. So And that's a whole nother story in itself, kind of weird and crazy. But I got signed to a record deal, thought that I had arrived. I got signed to a major label. I'm like, yes, like I've made it. My dreams are coming true. God, you're answering my prayers. And 10 months into that record deal, the label dropped me. And right at that time, my mom, who had a long, lengthy battle with cancer, my mom passed away. My mom died. I was dropped from our label. My wife, we had our first baby. So we went from having a paramedic salary. My wife was a banker. We went from double income, no kids, to my wife quit her job. I quit my job because I had to tour now.
Oh my heavens.
So I went from that to.
And for people who don't know, there's not a lot of big cash. It's starting out as, if you want to make a ton of money, musician isn't your first choice. We're just going to say.
Not exactly. So we go from this, knowing that it was the right thing to do to move into the music thing, because I couldn't just say no to that after I had this massive opportunity. So we decided to just basically jump off the cliff together. Yeah. We had a new baby, but now we have no income. We have our first child. Everybody thinks we're crazy. Like, what are you doing? Well, you're giving up your benefits, your salary, your security, your future. Like, what are you doing? And we're like, we don't know. But so 10 months into that whole thing, I got dropped. And I remember at that moment, just because you kind of feel like you've arrived into some kind of security. Like, okay, I wasn't crazy. I got signed to a record deal. Right. And here we are. And 10 months around that bend, that locomotive derailed. And here I am just in a pile of rubble. We had a new baby at home. My wife was pregnant with our twins. My wife goes through a miscarriage of our twins. Like, my mom dies of cancer. We lose our record deal. My management team dissolves. So I went from dreams coming true to no money. We were trying to live off of our 401ks. We were pulling money out of our retirements. I'm cold calling churches to see if I can come play for love offerings. So all that to say, if I've ever faced an uncertain time, yes. Wow. It was so dark and so uncertain and so heavy. I didn't know what to do. I felt sick in my stomach. And I remember one day in particular, when all this was going down, it was the day the label called me and they're like, hey, we're dropping you today. You're free to go. Sorry, we wish it would have gone better. I went outside, and it was the day of a show. I'll never forget it. And I'm in the middle of a tour. And
goodness.
I'm on a tour that I'm not getting paid to be on. I'm providing transportation and some production, and I'm only playing for merch. And I'm opening up the night, and there's about 3,000 youth kids in this church. And I'm getting ready to go in there and tell them how much I trust God and believe that he's good and that, he holds our future and he's overseeing the details of our lives. And I just go outside and melt down. I'm like, where are you? Like, what are you doing? Where have you gone? Like, I knew I couldn't trust you. Ooh, I knew you weren't good. I knew you weren't a dad. Like, I was just sobbing and weeping and just losing my mind. And my wife's back at home in the Pacific Northwest. I'm in Texas. Like, I can't even get home to her. I couldn't even put diesel in the van to drive home if I wanted to. And in that moment, Holy Spirit showed up in such a profound way where I'm like, okay, after this conversation, God will never want a thing to do with me ever again. And it was just this still small voice, like somebody was just pouring honey over my head. Wow. And it was just this daddy's gentle voice, like, there you are. Like, I'm so glad we're here, son. I've known about this day since while I was knitting you in your mama's womb. I've known about this day was coming. I'm so glad we're here. I know you don't trust me. I know you're in a mess. I know you don't think I'm good. I know you don't think I'm a dad. But what is the cry of your heart then? Whatever it looks like, whatever it feels like, remember what you've been asking. Like, this is those things, whatever it looks like. I'm not trying to tell you that I'm causing your life to go haywire. Like Psalms 103 says, I'm a gentle, gracious, compassionate, loving dad. I'm slow to anger and I'm abounding in love. I don't treat you how you deserve. I don't repay you according to your sins. And but that voice said, but I'm going to show you through a process, not a flip of a switch, not the push of a button. I'm going to show you through a walk, through a journey that I can cause all things to work together for you. That I'm present, that I'm closer than you can imagine. Like, I don't turn my face away from this. I'm a dad. I roll up my sleeves and I jump in the middle of it with you. And that day, it was just like I started to approach life, music, relationships, everything through the lens. Not that I've succeeded or that I've arrived somewhere special, but that point in my life was such a turning, pivotal moment of as Colossians 2 says, keep our minds fixed on the things of heaven and not the things of earth. It really started to give me a heavenly perspective of that God is just a dad, and he is present in the moment by moment details of our lives. And when we can't see, even through the pain, even through the confusion, even through the uncertainty, he does not turn away from us. And even when it hurts, like sometimes I'm just like, God, what are you doing? Like, what is happening? I just know, like, I just have to believe, God, you're just so good. You're so good that I can trust you with this process. I can just trust you. And I just have to leave it at that, or my humanness will go crazy.
Yeah. Do you go back to those moments? Do those become grounding moments? Like, do you go back and go, hey, I've seen this before? Like, like when you are tempted to ruminate or get lost in the anxiety or whatever, what is there a spiritual practice, or what do you do to ground back in it?
Yeah, it's like rote memory, dude. Like, when I get to those places, even that, like I had one yesterday, if I'm being honest, like I was ready to melt down yesterday, and I was just short with my kids, and I was just impatient and thinking about, like, why is this not working, and no income, and it was just like, wait a minute, look, like, get over yourself for a sec, and remember, go back to that place of that altar. Return there. Remember what I've done for you. And I have literally started to train myself to go back to the altar where he really intervened in my life. And I remember that altar, and I remember what he spoke and what he said in those times of when it was tremendous confusion and uncertainty. To remember that he is good. He's a dad, and I can trust him.
Wow. So would you say to those folks who are listening who have had the moment like you have, there is that, I love the illustration of an altar. There's this kind of moment where in life they laid it all down, trusted God, and watched how he orchestrated their life. Would you say, okay, for those, man, go back. God gave you a moment, probably gave you several. Don't forget. Remember, there's lots of wonderful stories from scripture that kind of even lead that way, right? Like, remember when, right?
Yep.
So for them, remember, what do you say to the Ryan out there before the altar moment, who is, he's, had to sign the record deal. And I loved how you said it, like, around the bend, got to around the bend, and all of it hits. If they go, I don't know if I've really had that kind of moment with God yet. I've always longed for one. I don't have a thing to remember. What do I do in real time? Do I look forward to? Is there something I should do in the present? What's your advice to somebody who goes, I kind of don't have a big moment like that yet?
Yeah, gosh. And what if we don't have that moment?
Yeah, and what if I don't get a thing like Ryan had?
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? And people would always tell me before I had this kind of pivotal moment in my life, like, oh, you just keep trusting. He hasn't, like, I don't want to hear that. Like, you know what I mean? I need him to show up in my life. And
is part of it okay to like just struggle through it? Like, would you say to somebody, it's okay, like keep calling out, like just,
yes,
if you got to complain your way in, get there.
Absolutely. I would say what I'm coming to know of the Father is I'm coming to know it because I have 2 boys. My heart is now a heart of a dad. And my kids do exactly to me what I feel like I have done to the Father in the past. Like, why? Where are you? Like, why can't I have this? And I guess my answer is we have to come to a place where we know that God is a dad. If we are not rooted and established in our beloved identity as a son, as a daughter, that we have a good Abba Daddy that wants to give us amazing things and to prosper us, to give us a future and a hope. And I'm not talking about financially. I'm not doing that. But I'm just saying, for us as a human being, as a child, it is, I feel like we have to get to that place where we, as Brennan Manning even says, like he tells a story in his book, Abba's Child, or the Ragamuffin Gospel, where this kid just pounds on the door all the time and he wants the cookies. I want cookies now. It's like, that is the heart that God responds to. He has no pretense. He doesn't even know.
He's not bothered if you keep showing up complaining, going, I need something. I need this. I need you. I need, like, struggle it out, work it out. Don't stop seeking. Is that what you'd say? Like, just keep coming.
Keep bringing it to him all the time. Like a kid that just needs to hear from their dad, even in your frustrations, even your questions, even your
that sounds like most of the book of Psalms, doesn't it?
Yeah, right. I know. All the time, back and forth, just, I love you. Where are you? I don't like you. You're amazing.
Right. Songwriters, they're all no, but I love that, because it feels like maybe where you're going when you were saying, hey, you got to know, you're going to have to, at some point, you're going to have to lock this identity down. Either he's trustworthy or he's not. Mm-hmm. Like, we really could walk through the day essentially holding that question, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, and I guess to even build upon what you just said, I feel like we only trust God to the degree that we believe that he's good.
Ooh, yeah, Ryan, yeah.
And so if I don't really believe that he's good, I'm only going to trust him to a certain degree, because then I'm going to want to kind of control that piece, not knowing if he's going to catch me or not. Not knowing if what he's got, I heard this quote, it says, our secret things belong to the Lord and our future is a secret thing.
Wow.
Man, that has really helped me. I don't even know where that came from, but that's a profound quote. Future things belong to the Lord. No, secret things belong to the Lord, and our future is secret.
Ooh, man, if we believe that, then all the anxiety goes away.
All of it. It really should help us. And I tell myself that all the time. Again, I haven't arrived anywhere special, but, even with whatever you want, if you consider me or you're somebody who's had success, I'm always battling. I want another one of those moments. I need another mountaintop with you, God, because sometimes, and then it's like, wait a minute. Remember what I spoke to you on that dock in Houston, Texas. I am doing that, but you remember that journey, remember that walk? We don't get to just push a button. Sometimes maybe we do, but I feel like the kingdom works not by the push of a button. The kingdom, I feel like he says, hey, follow me for a little while. Okay, just keep following me. Let's go. We're going to walk. Just follow me for a little while. And he's, as I read the word, I see that he's a planter. He's a gardener. He's, like
all these things take time. Cultivating.
Yes. Cultivating, planting, watering, nurturing, time.
Man.
We're so fixated on time, and especially here in America. I need it now.
Yeah, we're trying to medicate, usually through some sense of control, right? And boy, if there's anything that's exposed that, it's this whole thing.
Yeah, right. That's right.
Man, Ryan, so much here. Thank you for taking the time. So inspiring. And I'm already like, Okay, I gotta lock that in. I like several things right now. I want to just hang up and go pray for a little while because no, I mean it's this reminder of I trust him or I don't, and he's good or he's not.
Yep.
And it just takes all the pressure off me.
Yeah.
I want to follow. I actually really want to. I can be a good follower. I want to follow someone who's trustworthy.
Me too.
You know?
Yeah.
Ryan, if folks are like, hey, I want to catch up on what's happening in Ryan's world and hear some of the music and some of the stuff, where do they go?
They can go to ryanstevensonmusic.com is the easy. That's just my main website. And there's a link right on the top of the page that's like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, if people want to connect with me there. So,
and is there a new song that's come out recently or is coming out? And could you play a song for us? Do you mind?
Sure, man. Well, I mean, I can try. I had a new song that just went out to Christian radio several weeks ago. It's a song called Amadeo. It's a Latin word that means lover of God. And it's called Amadeo, Still My God. It's a real simple little tune. And it's cool that we're talking about this very thing today, this uncertainty, because I wrote this song. I had my record totally done. And I was asked to just write one more song to round the record out and just finish it with 10 songs. And so I wrote this, and it's a song, that talks about how we live in an uncertain world and uncertainties are going to happen. And my prayer with this is, sometimes the uncertainties that we face might be tragic, life-altering circumstances that leave us really disillusioned or embittered or questioning. But I was reading in Job 15 says, though he slay me, I will trust him. And I want to trust God to that degree. And my prayer in this song is that no matter what we face, no matter what we go through, whatever we're going through right now, those battles, those secret struggles, whatever those things are that are just beating down our door, that we could say, I love you, God. I trust you, God. You are still my God. And so,
beautiful.
I can play a little bit of it if you want.
Please, yes, please.
How about I'll play like a verse and a chorus? Is that
all
cool?
right, yeah, that's great.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, sound good.
Life can take our breath away. Tragedy can leave a wake. A broken heart won't ever be the same. Pain can stop us in our tracks, losing what we can't get back, shaking the foundations of our faith. But no matter what's in my way, no matter the battles I face, oh, you are still my God. You're still my rock, my only hope, Lord. You're all I've got. And in every valley or mountaintop, I'll say hallelujah. You're still my God. I'm a day, I'm a day. I'm a day, I'm a day, oh. I'm a day, I'm a day. You're still my God.
Woo, man. Beautiful.
There's
Beautiful. I love it. I love it. And it's out, right? Like we can go hear it?
If you go to iTunes, anywhere you find music, Christian radio, it's playing all over the country. If you want to hear it, you can find it. It's called Amadeo.
Awesome. Ryan, thanks again for the time, brother. And thanks for the song. So beautiful. Appreciate it, man. And so good to see you again.
You too, my man.
Been too long.
I know,
hang in there.
All right, brother. Thank you. Have a good day.
Say hi to the fam for me.
I will. Thanks, Jamie.
See you, man.